Hello and welcome to Chess Lover's channel. In my hand I hold what I believe is the 14th best chess book of all chess books that has ever been written, and it's called Ideas Behind the Chess Openings, written by the American Grandmaster Reuben Fine. This book is a very good complement to the book I recommended as 12th best chess book, Pawn Power in Chess by Kmoch. While that book was dealing with all kinds of different pawn formations, this book is mainly dealing with pawn structures in the opening. So we also need to discuss general playing principles in the opening. Earlier I have mainly recommended middle game books, but it's not completely clear when the middle game starts. So we need a book discussing the transition phase from the opening to the middle game. And this book can be regarded as such. So we are not going to deal with any concrete variations, but there is a book dealing with concrete variations, which is a complement to this one, also obviously written by Reuben Fine. And as you can see, it's much thicker than this book. I'm going to discuss a little bit the main structure of the book before I'm telling you what I have highlighted in the book. And the first chapter is dealing with general principles. The second chapter, king pawn openings, that is openings with e4, e5. Chapter 3 then is also called king pawn openings, but now dealing with all replies to e4 other than 1 e5. Chapter 4, queen pawn openings, d4, d5. Chapter 5, queen pawn openings, defenses where black does not play 1 d5. Chapter 6, Reti and English openings. Chapter 7, Bird's opening and Nimzowitsch's attack. Chapter 8, irregular opening. So that is the structure of the book, and as you can see, it's dealing with principles and it's dealing with specific rams, if we should use Hans Kmoch's vocabulary. I have underlined these sentences in the preface of the first edition. It was written by Reuben Fine in Washington, D.C., May the 5th, 1943. So this is a very old book, but still completely timeless. I have underlined the following. It has been said that ideas are weapons. So what does he mean by that? Ideas are more important than learning concrete variations. So you should read this one first before you are dealing with concrete variations. I've also underlined my object in this work is to present the necessary ideology as concisely as possible. So, if we have a look at chapter 1, the general principles, you can see what I have highlighted as well as what notes I have taken. So I have written that ideas equals to foundation and moves equals to construction. So what do we mean by that? Ideas are the pillars in chess. The variation stands on these. We can only understand the variation if we understand the basic idea of the opening. And moves are construction, so we have to decide in a more specific sense, what do we mean by construction? What kind of construction do we want? Do we want a construction with d4, d5? Or do we want e4, e5 ram, for example? Or maybe play the English with c4, etc. So we have to know what kind of pawn structure we want, according to our experience, according to our taste, or according to sound chess principles. So this chapter is very important about general principles. Ideas are weapons. That is the key thing to remember about this book. Here you can also see how much I have underlined and what I have underlined. So then we can go to chapter 2, king pawn openings. And a very interesting difference between Hans Kmoch and Reuben Fine is that while Reuben Fine called a ram, e4, e5, as symmetry, they have the same opinion that, you know, Hans Kmoch said that a ram must be liquidated. So after e4, e5, white's main goal is to liquidate the pawn on e5. And Reuben Fine is writing like this: as long as black can retain symmetry, that is pawns on e4, e5, white can lay no claim to an advantage. Consequently, the task is to compel the defender to give up his strong center positions. In other words, to abandon his pawn at king 4. So it means the pawn on e5. So fundamentally, white should strive to liquidate the pawn on e5 by playing d4 or f4, or perhaps by playing knight takes e5, if that is possible. What Reuben Fine is writing is that you should not play d4 too early, like you do, for example, in the Scotch opening. He recommends that you should play either 3 bishop c4 or 3 bishop e5, the Roy Lopez opening, and strive for d4 more slowly by playing c3 and d4, or perhaps even c3, d3, and later on d4. So that is the main thing. So by understanding such a principle, this is a selection of many principles in this book, you will understand the hidden idea of the specific opening you are playing. And that is why you must read such a book before this book, which is more concrete. So it's all about understanding what you are doing in the opening, but also what you are striving for. And this, I believe, is one of the main differences between all books dealing with pawn structures. And that is that he tells you what advantageous positions you should strive for. And here you can see 2 of them. In the first position, you can see that the white pawn is stationed on c5, while in the other position, the pawn is on b5. So here you see 2 examples of positions you should strive for. So the first one constitutes a clamp on the queen side, while the second one is a successfully performed minority attack. Here you see 3 other positions, and then you can see that the queen has penetrated to c7. So this is a main goal in the queen's gambit, declined for white, and what black should avoid. The fourth example is a Pillsbury knight, a knight on e5, defended by the pawns on d4 and f4. And the fifth position is a successful kingside attack. You can see that the pawn storm has started to take place. And these positions are probably constructed by Reuben Fine because we don't know what games they arise from. And this is a concept which has been forgotten in newer books dealing with pawn structures in the openings. And the reason is that most books dealing with specific pawn structures are focused on specific setups, like maybe hedgehog or minority positions, etc. And then we only see positions connected to these setups. But here we see what white should strive for and what black should avoid. That is not a common device in most chess books. So this means that when you play Queen's Gambit decline with the white pieces, you should put the rook on c1, you should put the queen on c2, you should strive for c takes d5 if you are planning to put your queen on c7. So by having these 5 advantageous positions, ideal positions in your mind, you know exactly how to station your pieces in the correct way. And in a sense, without knowing any detailed variations. Of course, you must know the main variations. So that is something I really like with this book. So it's full of notes, and I have highlighted so much that the book looks like this now. It's a Tartan publication. So I even bought a new book. It's an old book. It's a second-hand book published on Bell. And there are no underlinings whatsoever in this book. And this is what I believe. When you have a really good book in your hand, you should underline what is very important for you according to your actual chess understanding. And you should take notes, write important keywords or important key phrases. But the older you get, I mean, this was a long time. I think we are talking about 35 to 40 years ago when I did this very hard work with this book. And a couple of years ago, I bought this book because if I want to read it again, I would do new highlightings, new notes, because I have another chess understanding nowadays than I had 40 years ago. So I believe in buying more books of the same book. So you have duplicates, and from different companies is a perfect idea, because then you can see how they differ, because they are from different companies. So you should complement this book with this one. That is Reuben Fine's idea, because variations are, moves are the construction, variations are the construction. You can complement it with another book, which is also mentioned in this book. Reuben Fine's Chess, The Easy Way. And in the front page you can read a complete step-by-step illustrated guide for the beginner, including the basic principles of opening, middle and endgame strategy. So here you also have middle and endgame strategy. And even though they write it's a book for beginners, I don't believe it. I think they write it's a book for beginners so they can sell more copies. This is also for medium and advanced players, because those principles he's talking about here, many of them you can't find in other books. For example, when he's talking about the center, he's mentioning how you should place your knights, even how you should place your bishops. And that is a unique approach how to deal with the center, that he even discusses where to place the pieces. Reuben Fine is a really great author, and my concept when I have discussed all my suggestions has been to choose only one writer at a time, because I have discovered that if I have made a selection of a great book, I have discovered that mostly of the time, almost 100%, the other books of the same author can be recommended as well. So now I have chosen Ideas Behind the Chess Openings by Reuben Fine, and that is because I want you, whom perhaps are collecting according to my recommendations in your bookshelf and are intended to study them, should have a book which covers general principles in the opening, what position you should strive for, and then we are already in the transition phase between opening and middle game. All phases are connected after all. So that is the reason I'm recommending this specific book. I don't say this is Reuben Fine's absolutely best book, because he has also written Basic Chess Endings, which is an even greater book because it's even thicker and very much hard work is behind it. Obviously hard work is behind this one too, but as you can see, it's much thinner book, and obviously very hard work is in this book. But you know, to study endgames when endgames have not really been discovered how you should play, this was before Averbach's and Dvoretsky's time, is a great feat indeed. So we should not really talk about specifically which book of Reuben Fine is really the greatest, because they are all great. He has also written middle game books where he's discussing imbalances. He was the first player who really discussed imbalances in detail. And he has also written a book discussing chess history. So yeah, even a book about psychology, because he became psychoanalytical by profession when he quit chess. Unfortunately, he quit chess when he was at his height. That is another story. We will not talk about that. We focus on what I believe is the 14th best chess book. So I have mentioned to you mainly middle game books. We're not talking about biographies or game collections, etc. so far, because the main idea is to help you to increase your fundamental understanding of chess, and this is also on very high level. These clips are intended for all players, regardless of actual playing, understanding, or chess strength or rating, because I believe that ideas are the pillars of how chess should be played. We must know what we are doing, what's the idea. And here we are dealing specifically with chess openings. So that is why I'm telling you my suggestions, because I have studied all my recommendations very hard for a very long time. I know exactly what I'm talking about according to my own experience. And I believe that timeless books should always be present in your bookshelf and always be your leading guide when you study chess. Obviously, you can study other books as well, but these timeless books are special because they always follow you, and they will follow you in the future as well. So even though this is an old book, this book is so general and so timeless and so important that you cannot ignore. And I don't know any modern book which can compete with this one, because this book is unique. And we are also talking about Reuben Fine, one of the greatest American player. He was even one of the best players in the world. So I hope you believe in my recommendations as much as I believe in them, and that you collect these books and that you study them, that you highlight what is important in them, and that you take notes, and that you never forget what you learn, because then you can use all these ideas in your games, because according to Reuben Fine, ideas are weapons. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you in my next clip when I'm going to discuss my 15th suggestion. Bye bye.